Welcome, guys. Welcome to yet another live by Sales 5x. This is Anmol here. I have with me
JD here, and I'm super excited to interact with you guys.
Right. Today's topic, something very interesting, something very close to my heart. How do you do an effective sales presentation? Look, your presentation can go a long way in helping you close that deal that you want to close. So it's very critical that you put up a great show in front of your prospect. What we're going to share with you are certain tricks and techniques, which are very important. Rather, we'll first start with a lot of mistakes that people make when they're doing these presentations. Personally, and JD together, I think we would have gone over more than 1,000 presentations. Okay,
Absolutely.
and we figured out certain patterns, certain things which are probably not the best practices. And our idea with this video is to give you those don't do's, right? And help you find out what is it that can really work for you. So starting off, first things first, don't make it a monologue. Okay, I've seen so many presentations where the sales guy goes on for a good 45 minutes.
Right.
Okay. Right. And the client is, or the prospect, just nodding their heads, but the prospect also thinking of all the other things in the world.
Absolutely.
And by the end of the presentation, the salesperson has no idea of what's going on in the mind of the customer. He or she thinks that they've done a great job, presenting for 45 minutes.
Correct.
They would have rehearsed it many times over, right? That is one of the worst ways to do a presentation, because trust me, you will have no idea what's going on in the client's mind. You will not have any idea of how to take this forward.
So what is the right way?
The solution is to break it down.
Break it down
into multiple parts. So let's say in my presentation, I have this feature. I talk about the feature and the benefit. Before jumping on to the next benefit, I'm going to ask the prospect, hey, do you find this is going to add some value to you?
Now, you gave a keynote presentation in Hyderabad, right?
Right.
What is the strategy? I mean, what is the how-to strategy?
So in my presentation, I did a lot of role play. So I started off saying, that I'm not going to use presentations, which, the audience loved.
You loved, huh?
No one wants to see
a
presentation, because it's, done to death, so to speak.
Yeah.
So my idea was to bring people on right from the very first minute. But let's say you're doing, a very technical presentation. What you have to do is break this down. So after you give out your first feature/benefit, you ask the customer, what do you think about it? Do you think you will find this useful? Is this of any benefit to you? Do you think this will help you, save costs or increase revenue? Throw them these questions and then just shut up.
Oh, wonderful.
You just got to keep quiet, because then the client is going to say, one of the two things. Either he likes the point that you've made, in which case you might want to emphasize it again. So go over it, spend more time on it.
Correct.
If you feel that the client is not, placing it at a premium, he's not, very impressed with it. So now you know that, look, this is not resonating with the client.
Absolutely.
You'll then move on to something else, and then again throw that question.
Correct.
To really understand what is the client thinking. So point number one, break this down, throw in a lot of questions, and so that you can really understand the pulse from the audience.
Correct.
JD, point number two.
Point number two is your presentation should not be technically heavy.
Right.
Now, what do I mean by this? What I mean is that, if it is too much of specifications, the technical aspect of a presentation, then it puts people to sleep. Now, what is the solution? The solution to this is, Anmol, one aspect could be that you try to, as far as possible, use your creative sense, how to convert your, features or, technical specs into benefit statements.
Right.
How is going to impact your customers, business,
Right.
or your customers, life.
Right.
You have to think about that. That is one area. And what I do in my presentation is, I don't get numbers. Numbers actually confuse people a lot or more. You get graphics. You get images. Images stick to the mind better than numbers. You try to get, graphic. Now there are fantastic options available.
Tools.
Apply this thing and make it a resounding presentation rather than, too much of technical number, data, columns, and all this thing. What the customer understands or knows about all this.
Right. Another aspect to this is, if it is a technical heavy presentation, you are presenting to real tech guys, and they're really interested to know. So you need to have two documents. The first one talks about it at one level of specification, and a separate document which goes a lot more deeper.
Correct.
So you're presenting this document, and let's say the customer wants to know more details, in which case you bring the second thing up and then you present. Otherwise, if the customer is not asking you to go further down, you simply move on to the next point, which is, again, and as JD said, will help you cut that technical jargon,
Absolutely.
which doesn't really fly in the face of a lot of people. They want to know what this technical thing will do for me, rather than how this whole technicality works. So that's your point number two. Don't think that I have a tech product and the customer also wants to get into the details of everything. Even a technical guy on the other side still wants to know the end points, right?
Right.
And when there are times when he wants to get into details, you have a supporting document which is going to help you with that. All right, moving to point number three. What else do you have, Jay?
Point number three, I would say, Anmol, that your two aspects I bring in. Your presentation should not exceed for more than 45 minutes.
Right.
It should be short, precise, to the point.
No, when you say 45 minutes, you're talking about the entire duration, including the Q&A and everything involved in between.
No, I say that 15 minutes another for Q&A is fine.
Right.
But it should not go beyond that, because what happens for a human mind to keep concentrating, for a long period of time on a particular thing is it's physically not possible.
Right.
So you keep it for 55 minutes, give another 15 minutes for Q&A, and then, shut it down at 60. That is one aspect. The next aspect is your presentation. I believe, this is how I do my presentation, it should not go beyond 10 slides.
Right.
That's all. 10 slides. If I cannot summarize everything in 10 slides, then I cannot summarize in 100 slides.
Absolutely.
You come to the point, give the point, keep on moving, ask the questions, and that's all.
Right. So the duration is very critical, in attention spans have lessened. So it's very important that you keep it short. And at the same time, very important, don't have too many slides. Again, it will be an information overload. And a very good point. If you can't do it in 10 slides, then you probably can't do it at all. Right. So that's also extremely crucial. So 3 points is what we've spoken about. We've spoken about, not making it a monologue. We spoke about the second point was about
the second point is not tech heavy.
Yeah, not tech heavy. Exactly.
Not heavy aspect.
Don't keep it tech heavy. That's the second point. The third point that we've just spoken about
10
is
slides and
the duration, and keep it 10 slides. And then going to summarize this with another point.
Please.
Yeah, just add another little point here. Your presentation is not about what you want to say.
Yeah.
Your presentation should be about what they want to hear.
True.
Okay. Let that sink in. Maybe I'll say that again. Your presentation is not about what you want to say, but about what they want to hear. So don't be surprised if you're starting the presentation and the client says, "Hey, look, let's start with the pricing." Okay. In which case you go and cater to, either you want to control the conversation or you see where it goes, but don't be too stuck upon something, right?
Correct.
Or the client says, "Look, I'm not happy with this." So you can't tell the client, "Hey, hold on, this is slide number 1. We will come down to that," right? It doesn't work that way.
Correct.
It's going to be very dynamic. Be prepared for that. Don't tell yourself the previous night, "Hey, this is the flow." It doesn't work that way. Expect the unexpected. Only when you do that, you're going to flourish. JD, you had a point.
I will add a bonus point.
Right.
I suggest that after every slide, know your audience by names.
Right.
Because it's a sales presentation. We are coming from a sales perspective.
Right.
So it's a sales presentation. Know your stakeholders by name, and after every slide, take validation from them.
Very important.
Where do you stand, Anmol, on this one? What do you feel? Are you okay?
Right.
And simultaneously, Anmol, you should also, gauge and observe the body language of your stakeholders. Maybe they are not comfortable, and that will show up in their body language. Then what you do is go and ask him that personal question, build that rapport, so that his problems are addressed at the same time. That is a master.
That's a very, very important point. What JD just mentioned. Let's say I'm doing a presentation. I have 3 stakeholders in front of me. It's not that I do the presentation, pack up, and I go. After the presentation or even during it, ask the individual stakeholders, "Hey, do you feel that there's any concern here? Or what are you thinking at this point of time? Or do you think this makes sense?" So the individual concerns will come up, and then you will know exactly where each stakeholder stands. Otherwise, it's going to be like a black box. You do the presentation, and they're like, "We'll get back to you." You don't know what's going on. So if you want to get rid of that black box, you need access to information. You need to know what each stakeholder is thinking. What are the specific objections each stakeholder has? This is typically stakeholder management, right? And you try your best to solve the problems for each of these stakeholders, so that collectively you've got all of them on board.
And what is the advantage, Anmol, when you do that?
You're going to reduce your sales cycle time again, right?
Sales cycle time. Apart
Right.
from that, more than 70% of your objections are killed there. No?
Absolutely. Otherwise, you'll keep hunting in the dark. Hey, I thought my
Absolutely.
presentation was good.
Yeah.
Why didn't they call me back?
Yeah.
If you were to do what we're just suggesting to you right now, which is post the presentation, ask the individual stakeholders.
Yeah.
Trust me, a whole lot of the real objections are going to come up. If you know to do it well, the real objections will come up, and it will drastically reduce your sales cycle time. And in case you know how to handle those objections, trust me, this is going to be a smooth, easy ride. They say that sales, and largely B2B sales, is complicated. What we like to believe is that if you know to play the game well, if you know the entire sales process, how to take your customer from initiation to closure in a very scientific way, some of which we've already shared with you, trust me, you will start enjoying the ride, and you know what to do at each stage.
Correct.
Instead of being just clueless.
Yeah, that's very important. And presentation is a big part,
right,
of the buying cycle.
Right.
You get opportunities to impress the client,
right,
as well as impact the client. So do not miss that opportunity. Go all guns blazing with confidence. But if you're a newbie, I was also 20 years or 25 years a newbie. I struggled. I was afraid. I was, intimidated.
Right.
But, with time, you learn the skill, right? You upgrade yourself. You get into the right frame of mind, your mindset, your skill set. And then I'm sure that you will do wonderful in sales.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much. We will be live tomorrow at 6 p.m. again. Another interesting topic coming your way, or you could also just comment below the topics that you want us to talk about, so that we can actually help you with all the challenges that you're facing right now. This is Anmol Garg, Joseph.
This is Jamie with you. Good luck.
Signing off. See you tomorrow. Bye.